Hi, welcome again to, let me see, I think this is episode number 72. 72? It's either 72 or 73. Um, this is Thursday, September 18th-ish. And welcome again to the veritable edge of Western civilization, Venice Beach, California. Wow, it looks like it's raining on Palos Verdes right now. He said something about it's supposed to may drizzle tonight. That'd be a first in almost 2 months. It's a little cooler here at the beach today, but still friggin' epic and beautiful. Um, okay, so here's where we are with the piece so far. This is sacred geometry is a known drawing in a diagram in sacred geometry called the circle of knowledge. And luckily for us, there is a YouTube video on how to draw the circle of knowledge. I just became aware of it. Somebody told me about it a couple of weeks ago, and before I went to Burning Man, and I have been wanting to execute it for my own edification. And so let's get going on this. Still, all right. It's 6:17. Oh yeah, quick announcement. Next week, the show's next Monday. The show's going to start at 5 p.m. on the West Coast. So that'll be 8 p.m. on the East Coast. And so if you want to tune in live, you can do that at 5 on the West Coast. And there is, in this Google Plus Hangouts technology, there's a way that you can actually interact with me. So if you go to Google Hangouts and Google Plus and all that kind of stuff, and just to this YouTube channel, there's something that'll tell you how to do that. I haven't figured it out yet myself, but then there'll be a little, on my screen, there'll be a little window of you, and you can ask questions and so forth. So let's get up in here. When last we were drawing on this baby, yesterday, looks like we are a little less than a third of the way through this drawing, so we're excited to get going with it. Alrighty then. Okay. This is a weird one. Okay. Oh, I see.
Thank you. Huh? Hello?
That's not it. Okay. Let's see. How's it going, bro? Good. You know what this is? Huh?
Roughly. The second film.
Yes. But this drawing, this specific drawing, it's called the Circle of Knowledge. So, I've never drawn it before, but today's the day.
Have you used complex numbers?
What's a complex number?
Pen and paper.
Excuse me?
Pen and paper. You can do really good straight lines. You just put them down there.
Everything.
That's really impressive.
Yeah, it's 72 points on a circle 5 degrees apart.
You can do some really beautiful things with complex numbers, starting with a grid of points.
Yeah.
And then you map where each of those points go and just do a straight line between them.
Mm-hmm.
And the resulting pattern will be really beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
You give me a bit of paper, I'll show you in about a minute and a half. Alright. The first concept is that there's a number I that when you square it, you get -1. So it gives an answer to the question, what do you square to get -1? Just made it up. But mathematicians do that. But it gives you this lovely way to think of the plane. This is the good part. So you have the plane like that, and there's your x coordinate, and there's your y coordinate.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of thinking of this as the point x, y, you can think of it as the number x plus I, y.
Okay.
Okay? Now, when we multiply two of these points together, x, yes, x1, x2, and then that's multiplying these two together. When we multiply these two together, we're going to get minus, we're going to get plus I squared y1 y2, and then we're going to have this by that. We're going to have plus I x1 y2 plus I x2 y1. So that's going to simplify. So this is going to be minus 1. We're going to have x1 x2 minus y1 y2 plus I x1 y2 plus x2 y1.
Okay.
Okay. To add them, just add the points. So x1 plus I y1 plus I y2 plus I plus y2. This bit's called the real part, and this bit's called the imaginary part. So, if you set up a grid of points, probably where 1, that's minus 1, this is I, and that's minus I, then you take this coordinate and we call any point in here Z. So then you do something like, just to start with, Z goes to Z squared. So if this is going to be this point here was, say, 0.1 plus that point there would be something like 1 plus 0.1 I. So then square that, and we get 1 1 by square. That squared is 1. 1 squared plus 2 times that. 2 by 1 by 0.1 by I plus 0.1 squared I squared. So it's going to be, so 1 squared is 1, I squared is minus 1. This squared is 0.01. And this is 2 by 1, 0.01 plus 0.2 I. So 1.01 plus 0.2 I. So then it's going to go to 1.1. So there. So this is Z equals that. Z equals that bit. So Z squared equals that. So then you're going to have a line there. Do that with all sorts. So do that for all those points, and you get amazing patterns. And you can do like Z goes to Z plus 1 squared. Z goes to 1 on Z, it's harder to do by hand. Z goes to Z cubed, and you get these incredible patterns of how the lines intersect and spread out. Limited only by how fine you can draw the lines and how you can do it.
Right. So, is this what you do all the time?
No, it's something I did once, and think about every now and again. When I was in high school, my math teacher gave it to me, and I did a program and experimented with some different kind of ones. and it got lots and lots of really beautiful results. And when I saw your really fine lines, it reminded me of it.
Right. Right. That piece, the circle is 18 inches across.
Mm-hmm.
And the original was as big as the one on this board here.
Okay. That's really, I will.
It was an attempt at, I'd done 36 points on a circle, but using one of these, right?
Yeah.
So it was only 6 inches across.
Yeah.
But with this pen,
yeah.
it was too muddy.
Yeah.
So I figured if I did it bigger, and you begin to see this like concentric stuff that starts to happen. And I wanted to see where that was going to go.
Yeah.
So I did it bigger and doubled the size, and so we ended up with this, with what you see there, the 72 points on the circle, 5 degrees apart, all connected, which is the reverse of a pentagram. So, yeah, crazy.
Cool. So yeah, well, that's what starts to happen with this kind of thing. You start to get, I mean, some of these points will just go way out, but kind of in here at some points, you get the most amazing kind of cross sort of passion kind of thing. You'll get right in the middle of all these lines going out. You'll have like a perfect little kind of shape there, and completely sort of surrounded by lines going off in all directions. But like the one
what's interesting about this is you're deriving those points from, seemingly randomness, but through mathematics, right? And I'm deriving the points from just intuition and the visual, and as a motivator, as an inspiration. Unlike this is a little different because I want to understand this pattern. But usually I'm just what's it going to look like? Where are we going? What if I did this to it instead of I don't even bother with the math? Unless it's like something like the 7 harmonic. You have to divide a circle by 7. Then you're going to be dealing with transcendental numbers and like that. And most people have no friggin' idea what that means or what that, So it's fun playing math with you, sir.
Thank you very much. It was great, and you've inspired me about pens.
Good.
Pens on material, nice and big.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. It's good to be a geek every once in a while. Just open it up.
Yeah.
Let it out of the box. Okay. You're welcome. Thanks for stopping. Yes. Okay. So we were trying to figure out where the next group of these goes. I see. Okay. So.
Hello, the morning. Good dog. How we got it?
That was a big one. The ocean is still pretty big. I don't know what happened in terms of It's probably that hurricane that we went through. Was at Izell last week. Okay. Next iteration. Interesting.
Go ahead.
Interesting. Well, looks like that's it. And then there are all these symbols that are supposedly within this that one is, empowered to highlight. And like for instance, see there's a circle with a cross in it. That would be one, actually a heart motif here. And of course the reverse of that. There's a cube, cube with, I think it's the 3, 4, 5 cube thing, designed from Pythagoras. Yeah. Crazy. So that's it, huh? Yeah. I was expecting there to be more drawing. What do we got? We got 53%, and it's oh goodness, sun's almost down. Yeah. So, which is cool because I have something else I want to talk about. And man, I thought there was going to be more drawing. I'm not. I don't know that I'm gonna. I don't know if that I want to highlight this the way they're talking because some of these things overlap and um, yeah, I'd rather leave it as a template. I think it's complicated enough, and you can draw out of it what you wish, what you will. And another one that they're talking about are these four circles that overlap right there, and they make a this. Yeah. So, let's take a little turn around so you can see some of the beauty around here. There we go. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Let's look over this way. That's good. So, yesterday, I had a conversation with somebody, with John Chi, as a matter of fact. And out of our conversation, I realized that there was something I really wanted to, I'll probably write about it and in some of the books that I'm working on right now. Sounds like a crazy sentence. Books plural, but okay. So then when we do this and that is to dive in. All right. So as you know, if you've been watching these before, I am since for the past 6 or 8 months or so, I've been focusing on. I've been studying astral projection and practicing astral projection, or practicing to astral project and everything. And in this course of study, I've been realizing I've had some incredible revelations. And one is, I guess I could just lay it out pretty simply, is that until relatively recently, I mean, there have been human beings on the planet for at least 200 to 300,000 years. I mean, human beings as we know them, Homo sapiens and the like. And it's until the past 1,000 years or so, people going out of their bodies was consciously was common knowledge. I mean, that's just that's what people did. And over the past years, the dominant world culture has sort of lost. Not only have we lost that and lost the conscious awareness of what that is and how to do it and all that kind of stuff, but we've gone completely in the other direction, which is to make sure that nobody does it. We've done everything we can to try to keep people from having any experiences like that. And initially that was in large part because of religion, but more importantly, I mean, more recently, it's been because of science, the latest religion. And Just because science is only about 200 years old, 200 to 300 years old, and but the bottom line is we're just talking about human beings, and human beings making a decision to not paying attention to what they do to themselves, to their own, which is really interesting, their own spiritual evolution. Religion is supposedly focused on our evolution, our spiritual evolution. The the, uh, the development of the soul. When in actuality, it's more about containing the soul, keeping people from their spiritual nature, or putting their spiritual nature in service to the institution of a religion and belief system of a religion. And it just drives me, trips me out that you have at this time, even at this late stage of human development, we have, governments and religions and belief systems that are dedicated, the majority of them are dedicated to making sure that that people believe and give their spiritual focus and spiritual energy to belief systems that disempower the evolution of the soul, to the point where we're willing to kill one another for not wanting to be involved in those belief systems. It's just crazy to me. But anyway, what I'm really trying to get to here is that let me cut to the point. Until recently, human beings were aware, their experience of living was that their waking life, their walking around life, daytime life, was an extension of their spiritual life, which, when they went to sleep, what we call sleep, was carried on. And their time asleep was spent in communion with those who were from, where we all come from, these higher dimensions that are in direct relationship to the earth plane. And it was known that that's where we come from, and that when we physically die, that's where we go to. Even up to the Roman times, that was common knowledge. Yet, this culture is, for whatever reason, it's fallen away from that over the past 2,000 years. That awareness, and in my studies, what I keep coming around to what I think about the Aboriginals of Australia. I spent some time in Australia in 2000, about 3 months, and I met many Aboriginals and had some amazing interactions with them. And there was this moment when I was actually helping. I was near Ayers Rock, or Uluru, in the center of Australia. There's this huge, amazing rock with caves all around it. You can walk around. It probably takes you about. It would, if you're walking pretty fast, it'll probably take you about 20 minutes to walk all the way around this rock. And most people like to go there and climb it, but the Aboriginals don't really want like that. They don't support that. Anyway, we had been visiting there, and we'd gone to Alice Springs for some supplies, and we were on our way back, and we happened on this carload of Aboriginals who were trying to fix their car. Their car had broken down. Their car broke down, and I, did my best to help them. Anyway, we got them going and everything. But before we did, there was this moment where I'm standing on the side of the road with this elderly Aboriginal man, and right at that moment, I looked up and I looked past him, and there was a truck that was driving by with an Australian gentleman driving it, big this Australian dude. And, he came from, his ancestry was from Europe, and in that moment, there was this juxtaposition of this Aboriginal gentleman. The Aborigines of Australia they trace their oral history goes back 50,000 years. And we know from science that the Aboriginals are descended from they're direct descendants from these people, the first migration out of Africa, of people that they walked. First, they migrated from the Bushmen of the Kalahari, and that area, the Kalahari Desert. They walked to the coastline, and the southeastern coast of Africa, and they walked along the coastline all the way to what is now Indonesia. And because the ocean levels were lower at the time, you could do that. And I mean, they walked over generations. They walked along India, they populated India. And by the time they got to Indonesia, there was only 150 miles of ocean between them and Australia, and they crossed that somehow. My feeling is that they, in all that migrating along the coastline, living along the coastline and populating the coastline, is they learned how to sail, or at least make canoes. And so they made the 150 miles across from Indonesia to Australia, and then that's when the Australian history, the Aboriginal history begins. Now here we have these people who, they have this thing we call the dream time. That's not the word that they use. That's a European word. When I was standing there on the side of the road and I saw this Aboriginal gentleman, and I saw it's like the two of them were right next to one another from my perspective, right? I saw this big burly European guy. I was like, man, there is something that happened between, genetically between those two, and it's true that like that European guy, his ancestry was like the third or fourth migration out of Africa, after the one that went across to Siberia, and eventually ended up walking across the land bridge and into North and South America. There was another one that eventually went around the Mediterranean and up into Europe. And, years and decades went by, millennia went by, and eventually, one day these Europeans show up, and, having had their experience of being essentially disconnected, and they show up in a place where people have lived for 50,000 years with this direct connection between their earthly existence and their sleep time and their connection to their ancestors and their connection to nature and their connection to the universe. They see it all as one because that's what it is, right? So you have these folks. When you have that connection, you can see energy. You can see. They could see that the people that came off the boats from Europe, they could see that they were disconnected. And unfortunately, the Europeans couldn't see, and that was the problem. Is that, you know, the Aboriginals maintain that human potential, and the Europeans had no idea what they were able. They had no idea of their own personal potential, and they couldn't see, and they treated the Aboriginals just like they were animals. And we don't treat animals very well. So, whereas animals are connected in the same way that the Aboriginals are connected. You know, animals go out of their bodies when they go to sleep. Human beings go out of their bodies when they go to sleep. But the problem with, you know, people that are in our culture is we don't remember. You know, but so imagine if you were an Aboriginal, you know, 500 years ago. Not only do you go out of your body, everybody in your villages goes out of their body, and everybody in the village knows that everybody's going out of their body, right? And people are interacting with one another and with their ancestors and with their higher selves and with their spiritual environments on a daily basis in this way. And then, you know, for 50,000 years of conducting our, you know, one's existence in that way, and then somebody shows up that is completely disconnected, has no knowledge of any of that, has no respect for it either, and attempts to like convert you and your village to, you know, this Christianity, which is like has no connection to, you know, does it, you know, as it's practiced, it's not necessarily supportive of the idea that when you go to sleep, you're in communion with the universal reality. You know, it's not supporting that. It's not supporting that. And, you know, people use that as a justification for enslaving Aboriginals and conquering the land and exploiting the resources and all that kind of stuff. Whereas you as an Aboriginal, you can see that the land is alive, and you're doing your best to communicate and interact with the land in a way that is in harmony with that, because you feel it if you don't, okay? And the reason I point this out is because from what I've you know, the perspective that I have is that that's where we're going. That's our destiny. So on that note, I've got to pack up, and I'll talk about it some more down the road. If anybody has any questions, please get a hold of me, because this is percolating in my head. Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's good. But it won't leave me alone, and I like it. Okay. So once again, we love you.